Hello, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I have a very special guest joining me today. She goes by Missy, and she is a truck driver herself and also a member of Real Women in Trucking. So, Missy, tell me a little bit about yourself.
First, I'd like to say thanks to Desiree Wood with Real Women in Trucking, who forwarded your email. And then from there, I was able to gather several other lady truck driver friends of mine that also belong to my group called Ask a Veteran Driver. And it's a Facebook group. There's also a website, a community page. But what it is, it's a safe place for anybody to go and ask a question. And it's only truckers in there, or family of truckers, or retired truckers. So we monitor it very closely. So anything you ask is going to be answered in a professional way, with no rudeness, no ridicule, and by your peers. So anybody out there thinking about being a trucker, please join my group. Or in school, let us help you. We've mentored hundreds of rookies. We're very proud of them. And if you are an experienced driver willing to pass down your knowledge, please join my panel of veteran drivers. And in this case, it means experienced. A lot of people think it means military.
I love that you're creating a safe and open space for truckers to learn, and that it's okay to ask questions and, give the knowledge that these veteran truckers have to somebody else. Now, first,
exactly.
Missy, tell me, what made you want to join Real Women in Trucking?
I call Desiree Wood the bulldog. She tackles all the tough issues. Everything from sexual harassment to parking. There's so many that she covers. And she has a close knit of people, where they get involved in the industry level. I mean, she's supposed to have a meeting with the active FMCSA director here soon. So wow. She's personable and knowledgeable. So she's asked me to help with training. The topic is training and where we feel like that should go. So, and then there's one more radio show to do. So that's the reason that I think she's so valuable to our industry.
For sure, because the females in the trucking industry, the population is growing. We're about over 7%, which is still quite small, but it's much more than what it used to be. And as a female yourself, what would you say is the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome as a truck driver?
It's going to be your school, then your training, and then your first year of driving is the toughest. I believe there's about an 80% dropout rate. But wow, think positive. If we can do it, you can do it. And I would strongly encourage you to find Facebook groups. If you don't necessarily want to join mine, there's plenty of other ones just for women. Now, mine is for men and women. So reach out for help. Talk to the experienced drivers at the truck stops. And one of the reasons it was so easy to create this group is because they are so willing to lend a hand and pass down the torch. So talk to other people, be a sponge, and you can be successful. The low end I made was 50,000 to 80 some thousand. No college degree.
Right. That just shows there really is, a market for women to be successful in the trucking industry. It doesn't just have to be men that is successful. There's so much room for women to come into the business and grow as well.
Absolutely. And please don't, none of you men be offended by this, but a lot of companies prefer women for many reasons. They believe we are more cautious. We have less accident and incident rates, less service failures, maybe cleaner, again, nobody be offended by this, but this is just what I've been told by places I've worked. So you're absolutely welcome here. It is a serious job to drive an 18-wheeler. It's not a fair fight out on the road. you're gonna be up to 80,000 pounds, 40 tons versus maybe half a ton. So everything safety related that you can also learn, like the Smith safety system. I believe in that. I've been driving 14 years and I've never had an accident because the Smith safety system is always in the back of my mind, where you leave enough space, leave yourself an out. And the 7 keys is pretty basic, but they work.
Congrats to that, being accident free for 14 years. That's really impressive. And we're all about safety at BCB Live. That's our number one goal here, is to create a safety culture. And it sounds like we have a lot we can learn from you as far as being safe. But as far as the number of women in the trucking industry, what would you say needs to be done to make that number grow?
First of all, I would target military, coming out of the military. They're used to a lot of rules. They're already safety conscious. They're going to have a good attitude about a good work ethic, because this job, it is long hours. And so you need a strong work ethic, and you have to like driving. I mean,
for sure.
If you don't like to drive and are afraid to drive and afraid to back up, this probably isn't the industry for you. But if you like a challenge, this absolutely is. And the best part is, it's an income equalizer. They have to pay us the same as the men. I mean, of course, there's variables, like if he's got 25 more years experience than I do, or if you're paid by the hour, that could depend on somebody's, experience as well, or their background. So there's a lot of reasons for women to pursue truck driving, and you're absolutely welcome to come join the party. I mean, I own a nice house. My daughter has 3 college degrees. I drive a nice truck. And the 25 years I was a construction secretary, I never made more than $400 a week. So with that independence grows your confidence as well. And you want to keep pursuing everything about trucking, because there's so much to learn. There's so many types of trucks, so many types of trailers. All the specialized segments, like car hauling, frac sand. Now, I got bored with over the road after 8 years, and I wanted a challenge. So I went to Wyoming and I moved there, and I hauled frac sand on the oil fields, mostly Wyoming, but I was also in Williston, North Dakota, a little bit of Utah, and a little bit of Colorado. Now that was a challenge. It was, but a blast. Out west is so much fun. The people, it's like the land of kind people. They don't say the harsh things to each other. I mean, they're a bunch of super bads. Everybody's packing out there, but the wildlife, the antelope, are so docile because nobody eats them. Supposedly they taste bad. So they just walk along the sidewalk like, hey, what's up? And through the truck stops, hey, everybody. And one time, because you're on a lease road, and the rig site is called location. So you're on these ranchers' properties, and you have to stay on that dirt road. So most of the livestock is free range. So I had this young bull chasing the back of my trailer, and I have a picture of it. It's really funny. He's like, get off of my ranch. What do you think you're doing on my ranch?
You need to send us a photo of that. We would love to show our viewers. But
text me your email address. I'll send you a few.
I will.
Wyoming is stunning.
It really sounds like the Wild West out there.
It is in a way, but the brotherhood of the truck drivers is just phenomenal. I mean, everybody helps each other. It was kind of at a point where I had too much help. It got confusing in the beginning, but then I got it worked out. You pull pneumatic trailers filled with frac sand that they frack the oil with. But the men out there are the best drivers. They know every inch of their trucks. And They're so into trucks. We were at the honky tonk one night, and I see Stan and Blake over there exchanging photos on their phone. I thought, oh, they're looking at pretty girls. I lean over, they're looking at trucks. Hey, do you remember this International? Remember the engine it had in it? Hilarious.
Right. I think that brotherhood and that community that you're talking about is what makes the trucking industry so different. And would you say that's what's maybe needs more of in the training experience for the new drivers? Do you think that they're feeling welcome enough when they come in and get trained?
It's a complicated question because it depends where they're getting trained. For example, Warner bought out Roadmaster. That's where I went to school in Orlando in 2009. And so now you got one company that you're going to go train with. And now it's going to depend on your trainer. And it just depends who you get. So now that would lead into the next thing that we probably were going to talk about is why I started Ask a Veteran Driver. And it was because of my profoundly crappy training experience was so bad. I had two trainers because at the company I was at, it was by the mile. You had to get 60,000 miles to get your A seat, which is your own truck. So the first trainer never let me sleep. I was so exhausted. My eyelids were so swollen up from lack of sleep. But she wasn't going to break me. I heard I was the 23rd student that she had and the only one that passed. Now, there's been a lot of years passed since then. So maybe somebody else passed. But I wasn't going home and looking at my daughter and saying I failed. It just was not an option. So about halfway through that training, that 60,000 miles, she had a family issue. And then I got my second trainer. But, well, back to the first one. There was times that she just wouldn't talk to me. And every chance I got, I would sneak off and go talk to the veteran drivers at the truck stop to ask questions because I was just suffering through this training. I wasn't learning anything. And one time she caught me and wouldn't talk to me for 2 days. So, but what I noticed is how happy they are to help somebody. And all you have to do is ask. That's all you have to do is ask them. So when I created Ask a Veteran Driver on social media, groups that had really just come out on Facebook. And that was the wild, wild west. Anybody starting a trucking group, I mean, they were going poaching each other's members and all kinds of underhanded stuff. But what I did is I just set out on social media to ask the experienced drivers if they would come and help. And they did. So I have 5,100, somewhere around there right now. I could have 10 times that if I just let anybody in, but we don't let office people in. You know, you
Right.
have to be a driver or family of or retired. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats on the over 5,000 members. Tell me though,
Thank
what
you.
is your group's mission if you had to sum it up in a sentence or two?
To provide a safe haven for questions to the experienced driver, which makes the roads safer for everybody. The more they learn, the more questions they ask, the safer they become, the more unafraid they become, the more confident they become, and it makes for safer roads for us and the four-wheelers. So, and we want, and to be successful, you know, you've went to all this trouble to spend the money to go to school. Yes, go to school. We want you to get through this, to get through the first year that's so hard. And that's what we're there to do. And everybody share their past experiences. So we try to keep the opinions limited. I mean, unless it's very valid, we'd rather know what you've been through. So we really emphasize that because we go through a lot.
For
We
sure.
all have been through a lot.
I think we need to start a new hashtag, Missy, real truckers support truckers.
Oh,
So
that's really sweet.
yeah, I mean, I think that's great how you're trying to uplift the community and just and do something with what you've experienced and turn it into something positive.
Well, I am proud of it.
You
I
should be.
really am. And some of that are still in the group and talk about, I wouldn't have made it without you guys. And it just makes us all feel great. I've got 5 moderators. We're all drivers. Well, there's one that's medically retired. So it's a labor of love. It really is. Now I have had a bunch of spin-off groups too. I should bring up my website. We've done a whole bunch of good. We've helped trucker kids. I organized a convoy for Ashley Boglin. Her husband was murdered in Detroit trying to deliver to Thyssen Krupp. And that spun off Mike's Law, which is where truckers should be able to carry, concealed carry across state lines, but we can't right now. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest fundraiser that we did, that raised over $12,000 for her. She was pregnant at the time. So my website, I really need to update it, but there's a whole list of, good things, good deeds, because that's what we like doing,
Well, I'm going to make sure. Sorry, go ahead.
We got a sense of humor too, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Overdrive magazine used to have this most beautiful lady trucker contest. Well, I kind of didn't think that was very fair. I mean, the dudes are being left out. So for 2 years, I had the hottest truck driver contest. You should see their pictures on my website.
Well, I want to link your website on our social media because I definitely want our viewers to check that out and definitely see the contest that you're talking about.
Yeah, the hottest driver.
Yes, for sure. Now, Missy, let me ask you my last question, and I feel like it's the most important, is what advice would you give to somebody who is male, female, anyone who's unsure about becoming a driver?
Do your homework. Join some Facebook groups. Try to find somebody who's related to a trucker and sit down and talk with them. And if you don't have that, reach out. There's tons of us willing to talk to you and steer you in the right path. I think, what number was I up to? Locally, I started mentoring local people. I think I was up to number 17. I've been a local driver for 4 years now. So, and they ask really good questions. Many of them did not follow through, but I recently had one that did follow through. And she has small kids and everything. So she ended up unloading food for McLean, or one of them, the local food route drivers. So, yeah, just talk to people. Everybody's willing to help, because we know it's not the easiest thing to do, but you can do it.
Just keep the community growing.
Correct.
And keep an open circle of talking with one another. It's easier said than done, but if they can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. Yes. If we can do it, you can do it. And we had all the same fears in the beginning. We had all the same questions. We were all scared of failing. But there's more help out there than ever, and use it. Again, to make this good of money with no college degree, but you got to learn the mechanics of the truck. Not be a mechanic, but in school they're going to teach you a pre-trip. That's very, very important, because stuff happens out here. The miles we put down, well, I shouldn't say me now, when I was over the road, is the equivalent of what people put on their cars in a quarter of their lifetime. Mm-hmm. And with that, these trucks vibrate. They're very hard on electronics, anything that can twist off a lug nut. So that pre-trip is very important, and learn it well. It'll save you.
For sure. Thank you so much, Missy.
You're welcome.
I have really enjoyed getting to learn all of your knowledge that you have to give to us. And before you log off, I want to ask you really quick. So, we're BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I want to ask if you can say your name, that you have been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. All right, go ahead and try it, Missy.
I go by Missy Lady Trucker on Facebook. My given name is Joan Elizabeth Raby, R-A-B-Y. You're welcome to send me a friend request, a message. I'm at your service.
All righty. Thank you so much, Missy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye now.